Ishimabo. Kabinyanga. And there we go. Woo-wee! My hair is sticking up. But hello, ladies and gentlemen. Azakai here. I hope you guys are having a very nice day. We got another days of the losers bracket tonight. Let me just bring up who is fighting. But nevertheless, this is Azakai. I'm going to bring you the 11th day of the Asia Division knockout phase. So, tonight we have CNC versus BPJT. Actually, no, we have a winner's bracket battle right now. So, CNC versus BPJT is going to be the most interesting battle, probably the two strongest Asia Division teams that we can expect. Then following that, we have YYY versus GNG. YYY probably the only China mainland still in the winners bracket. Could see YYY beat out GNG and face off against CNC in the winners in the finals of the winners bracket. So that will be an interesting fight. Nevertheless, tonight is jammed packed with very strong teams as we get closer and closer to the finals. But nevertheless, but I always expect CNC to dominate no matter what. So whether or not they will keep that trend, we can see tonight. CNC battle against BPJT, probably one of the stronger teams in this tournament. Probably underestimated them. I do have an inkling to say that it's much harder to determine strength when teams are not pressured. So when they do not get pressured enough, you do not see the value of the team. Right off, we have kicking it off with the pick ban phase. We have BPJT banning out Hidden City with CNC banning out Kuruk Castle, both choosing the hidden, the Harbor City. Very, 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 very expected. Harbor City is pretty much the only map anyone really chooses. That and Hailong Fjord. So the bans, again, they're pretty much throwaway bans. But we really only see Harbor City and Hailong Fjord. We've gotten a few we got a Kuruk Castle, a Linwu Fortress, and of course we have the second most popular map, the Hailong Fjord. CNC goes in with a massive ban on the Winged Stars and the Shenji Grenadiers. Shenji Grenadiers pick is quite a doozy here. Taking out very strong ranged unit that is fairly unpopular to say the least, but I would say they're more popular as the range options diminish. We have the Halberdiers and the Samachian Stalwarts banned by BPJT. So the Halberdier, so it's very interesting to see what they will do without their good old Halberdier lineup. And just going away, we get to see good old all right, we go back. So they were just doing an intro. They were a little bit late. Nevertheless, Magdalator safe pick, no ban for the second one, and we get a Daggerack Lancers and a Liao Rangers. Sorry, hang on. Let me rephrase that. BPJT safe picks the Magdalatori, and then we had CNC ban out the Liao Rangers with a safe pick of the Daggerack Lancers, following BPJT's ban on the Badao Battalion. So, very intriguing that the BPJT takes out both the Madao Battalion and the Halberdiers, meaning that there's still the Fortebraccio Pikemen and the Halberdier Sergeants still available. A safe pick on the Daggerack Lancers from CNC after taking out two other cavalry, which is the Liao Rangers and the Winged Hussars. So it's going to be super interesting how CNC uses the Daggerack Lancers to the best of their abilities when there is still the Fortebraccio and the halberdiers on the field. So my thinking here is that since the Sarmatian stalwarts have been knocked out, we might see very little of the um, very little of the Vermiliones, and it will be quite interesting to see if there's going to be a pickup of the Shield Maidens to win that kind of wall fight. But nevertheless, Harbour City's never really won where the wall fight has been determinate. Normally, a has the wall has been given up quite frequently. It's kind of a hit and miss where either the wall is defended heavily by heavy infantry or it's not defended at all. It's a bit of a gamble, but CNC and BPJT should expect some resistance or expect or however the battle plays out will determine their setup. So if you expect a heavy wall fight, gonna have some very strong infantry. If you're gonna go for the ground, better go for cost efficiency. So whichever team goes for more fortibrachos, I'm expecting the defenders, sorry, to go for more fortibrachos, more halberdiers, and expect that to clutch it with the cavalry. And it's going to be very hard for CNC or whichever team's going to attack if they go for that heavy infantry lineup. Attacking, you got to expect whatever resistance you do see on the wall, you have to beat it because if you don't beat whatever's on the wall, then you might be in for a very tough fight. Nevertheless, I do think CNC is trying to limit the types of cavalry that they will expect to see on the ground, and I expect their infantry play to be much more solid. But we can't expect BPJT to anticipate this, so let's see if they have the what it takes to stop CNC's both infantry and cavalry combination. And that also being said, we should also expect BPJT to also have a plan to fight inside the city as well when we get to Harbour City. Or it could throw BPJ or CNC could throw BPJT into a downward spiral of defeat with a wall hold. But that's all to be decided once we actually get to see what happens on the field. Well, that's enough of the pick and ban phase. What are you guys expecting from CNC versus BPJT? Do you think it's going to be 2-0, or do you think it's going to come down to a field battle? I think CNC just going to wins hands down 2-0. Although I do have confidence BPJT is a strong team, CNC have classically been the champion of the Asia division for many, many, many times in a row. Only truly losing in a cross-server tournament with the China mainland, with the top two from our server faces off against the top two from the China mainland. So, I'm gonna wonder. I'm just listening in on the commentators for the main channel right now. Hello, Obi-Wan Kenobi. How are you doing? We just went through the pick ban phase. No cab. No bitches? We still have Daggerack Lancers on the field. Monastics? You think they're going to choose monastics? That would be very interesting. I don't think that anyone's going to choose Cataprax since Daggerack Lancers do the exact same thing. But monastics is an interesting pick, mainly because they'll break through a line and probably open up a hole for the Daggerack Lancers to break through. But since it is 8 o'clock, it is high time for you guys to make sure that you get in on the Conqueror's Blade devs to make sure you get that winner's bracket #1 gift pack. That is the drops on the Conqueror's Blade devs. But I hope you guys listen to my commentary or you find the commentary from the Conqueror's Blade devs to be interesting. Nevertheless, I love commentating, so I will be here for the whole night. Well, or however long these battles go for. CNC wants to show the world that they can win without meta units. Um, the only meta unit that was really banned was the Liao Rangers and the Samachian Stalwart. Halberdier, I mean, that's according to like Siege stuff. I think the Halberdier has a very high pick rate. Medal also fairly high, but not as high as the Halberdiers. The Liao Rangers, out of the cavalry, gets picked a lot. Nah, the Hussars gets picked half and half. The Hussars have not really been spectacular. Um, why is it that the Hussars have not been spectacular? It's very difficult to say. I have realized that my assumption that as long as it's not a Fort of Russia, they can just pulverize right through everything. That's actually wrong. That's actually wrong. I don't know what changed, but as of late, Halberdiers, Sergeants both seem to have a great effect at slowing down the Hussars. So if the Hussars do hit into one Halberdier, it should be okay to push through, but normally requires some follow-up to really break through that Halberdier. Otherwise, the Hussar just hits blunt force right into the Halberdier, does minimal damage, massive damage reduction, but still rolls over the Halberdier line, super easy, gets super slowed. Two Halberdiers together seems to be able to stop a Winged Hussar dead in its track and unable to break the line properly, that is. So you're going to have to overwhelm the Halberdiers with more Winged Hussars. My opinions, Ruffles, on the Liaos in CBL have had limited but still very devastating impact. A Liao is special because of large hit limits and, of course, able to go through a charge with a shot followed by a swing of the bludgeon and finishing up with the Valor. Very, very powerful combination and definitely devastating to a dense pile. I think a lot of shield units have been destroyed because of the bludgeon attack from the Liao. The unfortunate thing here is because the Liaos do suffer from a little bit of downtime between ability usage, they're not really going to perform that well in the long run. But if you're going to go for that impact, I think the Liao Ranger does a good ass job at cleaning up like no other. Thanks, Mask. Um, I tried to be a what was it? A solar panels salesman once. Or not a salesman. What do you call them? The people who get you to do the quotes. So apparently I was not very good at that. So they fired me or let me go technically. So I think I got fired. So more or less I think it's just probably because the scheme just not my avenue. If I know what I'm talking about, I can talk about it for ages. So I definitely need to know my stuff before I can sell you it. A good salesman could basically sell you something based on what your needs were. I will tell you what things can do for you, but I can't tell you what your needs will be. PR? Maybe. It's alright. Right now, I just do stock taking. It's good enough for me for now, and also you guys do help me out with watching some of the ads sometimes when you're here watching the stream. But right now, we're watching the CBL for Conqueror's Blade. so I don't really run too many ads during this time. Make sure you guys get to see all the action. An honest salesman. All salesmen should be honest, but doesn't mean they'll tell you everything. Because even if everything he says is true, sometimes he won't give you the whole truth. So, a lie of omission, not in their books. Whatever they say, whatever they say has to be the truth. Otherwise, they are liable for a lot of things. So, if they gloss over a couple things, that's that's probably both his fault and your fault for kind of glossing over it. I love that saying. An honest salesman is a broke one. Oh, thanks, man. Am I broke? Technically, no. I still live with my sister though, so do I do I have independence? Probably could, but why would you need independence when you can just work together? Well, actually, I'm just leeching off my sister in this way. What is their bands? Yes, what are their bands? The bands were Liao Rangers, Winged Stars, Shenji coming out from CNC. They saved pick Dagorak Lancers. Interesting. BPJT bans out the Halberdiers, the tier 4, the tier 3 Halberdiers, the Samachian Tholwarts, and finally bans out the Medal Battalion. Save picks the Medalatories, so it's quite odd that you took out the stalwarts. Why do you think it's smart? Which side do you think? Why do you think it's smart, Mask? I'm quite interested in what your opinion on those bans are. CNC does look like they're limiting the number of cavalry available, but they did safe pick the Dagorak Lancers, so my question is whether or not BPJT is going to be able to deal with the Dagorak Lancers, or whether or not CNC just throwing them through a loop. They force two tier 5s, and they will have some people with 3 units that is good for a push. Hmm. It is interesting. I don't think double tier 5 is forced here, mainly because I can see you go with the Dagorak Lancers. Dagorak Lancers at 240. Oh, wow. No, Mammalions are costing 240 as well, so you can't go with the Halberdier Sergeants, which is 230. You need to go something else with 230. The only things that would be at 230 is Sergeants. The, well, it would be the everything, like the Sergeant variant. So you got the Spear Sergeant, you got the Javelin Sergeants, and you have the Men at Arms. Or the Imperial Spear Guard. That could be a lineup. That could be a lineup there. I wonder how will CNC react in the meantime, but I think they will bring Berserkers and Claymores. I wouldn't be surprised. Berserkers and Claymores have kind of come up again. Berserkers not so much. Claymores actually a lot more. One thing that I absolutely understand why people underestimate claymores, especially in a siege setting, when it's actually very useful here in a league setting, mainly because the support buff from the claymores are way, way, way more important. But looking at the first lineup of the game, of the day, we have CNC attacking first on Harvard City. Looking at the lineup, there is a few cavalry. We do have good old monastic knights and the chevaliers out on the field for CNC. Heavy lineup for CNC. The halberdier band did mess up a couple things for CNC, so BPJT, whoa, very interesting. the Chevalier lineup is absolutely insane. Look at how many Chevaliers coming out from BPJT. So, are we going to see a sally out? Half and half? It could be interesting. Could be interesting. We are definitely going to see BPJT sallying out. This could lock up a lot of CNC's time, depending on how CNC handles this. Naru going in with the Matalator and the Rectiaris. Let's see if this Imperial Spear Guard able to kind of protect everyone. This Imperial Spear Guard will be the biggest clutch to protect them from the range. You have to remember that there is plenty of trebs as well. Could staunch out a lot of the cavalry, especially since it's very easy to hit them the closer they get to the trebs. Kicking it off straight away, which is actually a bad idea. I think if you start the sally out a little bit later and allow the enemy to get a little bit comfortable, you can surprise them. But since everyone normally goes straight to that supply point, it could be, whoa, a devastating DC coming out from BPJT here. Metalator's shooting straight at that front gate. Could be quite a few kills. Gonna go for a full surround, which is a good idea, and a perfect suppression of this supply point with just the sheer number of archers going to surround this supply point. But we have the prefecture archers coming out. This will be absolutely devastating if they don't take out that prefecture archer fast, as they will clock out so many of the crossbowmen going straight in with the charge. Could be breaking down this left-hand side halfway through, and a second charge. Whoa! The Chevaliers are tanky enough, and following up with the perfect volley. CNC gets completely suppressed as the point is completely covered with dead bodies. Dead bodies of the Chevaliers, dead bodies of CNC. Nice sweep. You want to see a perfect setup? Chevaliers with the crossbows? Whoa! That is one of, if not the craziest sally out and most effective one I've seen to date. Perfect surround, perfect execution, allowing to break through those lines. Problem is, without the medals, which are classically a little bit stronger, without the medals that are classically slightly stronger, they are unable to hold against the tide. And it really is just the fact that the crossbows clutched it really hard here. But nicely done. CNC mass spawns there on the left-hand side and crushes whoever was there. Right now, a good recovery for now. BPJT is a little bit in a rush. Could kill the halberdier that's out here. My question is how CNC is going to be able to deal with the Chevaliers with the superior crossbowmen out on the field. Again, crossbows are very effective at stopping cavalry, and it could be kind of crazy. Oh, a little bit of a mess, unable to get that line up together, getting a flank with one of them, and most of the Chevaliers have now been clocked out. I think what's really coming in right now is CNC's killing off the heroes, so one by one they will be able to just clean them up. Another hero dies. 3 heroes died, in fact, for BPJT. So that is an amazing start for BPJT, but this second lineup here is a little bit scuffed. I do think that it's going to be a bit desperate for BPJT to recover in this scenario, but it's mostly cavalry against cavalry, and they still lock down both of the supply points, meaning that these heroes are easy game as the cavalry that is out on the field is slowly getting killed out. BPJT just needs to make sure that they don't get a reset. Otherwise, The reset could kill whatever's out on the force. Middle supply point right now is getting a reset. And no, the crossbows didn't run out of ammo. The crossbows got ammo at that supply point that they got in the center. Need to really think about a critical move from BPJT right now. Both sides have taken heavy losses, but I think CNC's taken a little bit more losses because of the huge impact from the beginning. But here's the kicker. CNC still has a little bit in the tank because it got a triple setup with mostly tier 4s. And the bad thing about BPJT is that they only have a 2-army setup, meaning that a lot of tier 5s, making it very difficult for them to really pull themselves together if they get pushed out one more time. CNC is trying their best to stay alive, but again, getting caved in from every single angle. You want to see a cavalry charge come through? You want to see a cavalry charge come through 5 different angles as it just cleans up that supply point yet again. You stay there on that supply point is a sitting duck and you just get wiped off it one more time. This is actually really bad for CNC. I think CNC is going to actually lose it. The Shield Maidens are strong enough to take out everything else, and Al Halberdier pick is a very odd pick, if I say so. CNC actually leaves the battle, and that is probably the most devastating defeat I've ever seen from CNC. This kind of sally out, that kind of execution, again, very, very devastating, and it goes to show that BPJT just might actually beat CNC, but we still have another battle to go. So let's see if BPJT can close it out with their attack, because damn, that Chevalier execution, wow. The charges, blunt force straight into that shield, breaks them down, get shot up by the crossbows. Chevaliers are crazy strong in combination, innately and definitely individually. The Chevaliers are pretty tanky. They are on the same level as Monastic Knights in terms of tankiness, and they are definitely strong for a crossbow unit. The when the abilities kick off, the crossbow units in particular start shooting very fast. The damage output from the crossbows surprisingly doubles. Not sorry. Let me say that again. Crossbow units are actually really weak. Really weak. If I was to, I have thanks to Alan here, who has done most of the algorithms or did most of the calculations here. The range DPS, when you clock it out, most of the crossbows are ranked last, meaning that they have the lowest DPS out of all range in the game, and that is crazy. Like there are tier 2 and tier 1 units that have more damage than the crossbows, but with Chevaliers, and I say this, with Chevaliers, it's kind of crazy because while they're using the assault ability, they get double, they shoot 2 bolts, and they shoot faster. Around about 50% faster. And when they use their lance thrust, oh man, they're shooting 50% faster. So that is quite a hefty damage or DPS increase for those crossbow units. Mass Claim Z, we had a similar sally out in scrims before. It's actually easy to counter if you know what you gotta do. Control of space, and definitely do not get surrounded. You want to counter a sally out? Don't let the enemy set up. Don't let the enemy surround you. That is the simplest thing. You don't. They did have 40s. They had a 40. But the problem is that doesn't matter against Chevaliers. Chevaliers will still charge you because the crossbow units will shoot you dead. Huh? We actually finished the game in 3 ins. We didn't take one fight. Okay, that'll be cool. Yeah, that'll be cool to watch. I would definitely love to have a look at it. But I just want to say, Chevaliers, like, there's a lot of limitations when you're using the Chevaliers. It's very, very difficult unit to use individually, but you're still using two units in combination, a heavy cavalry and a range unit. And one of the most important things that is absolutely devastating is the Chevaliers will break through basically any kind of shield unit. So any shield unit that is sitting around blocking those crossbows are going to get blasted right through by the Chevaliers. And since most polearm units, again, are very susceptible to range fire, or, again, takes damage, they're going to get shot up into pieces, even if they do manage to kill the cavalry. I don't think I don't think it's easy to defeat that combination without overwhelming it with something stronger. So you can't throw a cavalry at it because the chevaliers will stop the cavalry. Sorry, the crossbows will stop the cavalry, and then the chevaliers will kill the cavalry, or the crossbows will just kill the cavalry anyway. The moment you give it space, it's over. It's a 2v1. A chevalier's biggest advantage is that it's a 2v1. There's never a scenario where I would say the chevalier is really at a disadvantage in a fight against any of its contemporaries because the combination is just too terrifying. Heavy cavalry with a charge, with crossbow unit backing it up. That ranged unit is really covering a lot of the weaknesses that the cavalry have, and the cavalry just beats all the units that would be classically strong against the crossbow unit. So it's a unit that covers both. Um, it's a unit that covers the weaknesses of each other. So as long as they both exist, it's still pretty good. Unfortunately, that's not how it works for the Houndsmen, which are a similar concept, but the Hounds are not particularly tanky, nor do they deal very much block break, so they can't deal with shield units. Um, oh yeah, that is that was probably the biggest mistake, but I have seen a turtle work before. Um, the thing here is that the difference of teams. A different sally out happened before. They threw cavalry one at a time at the supply, allowing the units to recover after each cavalry charge. Difference here is BPJT threw everything together. The chevaliers were near in sync because you didn't see one chevalier goes in after another chevalier. You saw chevaliers all come in together, and that is the difference. It was it was different in execution and definitely difference in unit selection. One of the most important thing as well is that they didn't actually use very many chevaliers, which would have killed off a lot of the pike units for secondary or even third cavalry chargers to come through. So it's very difficult to say. Um, yes, that is true. Um, a cataphract top line in this case could have made a difference because they don't get stopped by crossbows. muskets, the classic weapon brace, but it's a question of whether or not they'll survive as well. The amount of DPS coming out from crossbow units, especially in the as a Chevalier retinue unit, maybe around about three, maybe twice the amount of it would do normally, which is actually an impressive amount of damage. Nevertheless, we got the second battle ready to go. BPJT attacking Harbour City. Going to change it up just a little bit, not a mass of cavalry. Again, as the attackers, you're going to have to take some infantry to take that wall. But the Chevalier pick is very popular, and I will not be surprised. I will not be surprised is that the Chevalier pick is mostly to counter a sally out, just in case the CNC actually chooses to come out. So if CNC is quick, they can take out quite a bit of the cavalry that has decided to show themselves. Well, that is true. It's not that it's a sally out is never really something you should be able to predict, but it's something that you should always prepare for. Um, it's something that, again, you should always keep strategies in mind that the enemy might deploy. So having a flexible composition is always a good idea. The only problem here is that CNC's decision or reaction to the sally out was lacking. Expectations of the Chevaliers um, were that, if challenged, needs to be overwhelmed. And you can't overwhelm a Chevalier easily, especially since, in the case of just semantics, there was 15 heavy cavalry. Well, not 15 heavy cavalry. There was like 13 heavy cavalry and 13 crossbow units coming out facing against you. So it's harder to challenge that with equal numbers, so you needed a way to slow them down, lock them up, and definitely challenge the combination. But here's the question. You need a solid line to hold off against the cavalry, and then you need a flanking force to kill off the rest of the crossbows. You can't easily do that, but you can definitely direct the enemy in different angles instead of having them concentrate on you with the surround. And Cav spam is one of the best options for strong opponents. I think Cav spam is just the easiest thing to pull off because you have a lot of cavalry, you come in from different angles, even the most veteran or even CNC themselves cannot win against a cavalry charge coming in, cavalry chargers coming in from multiple directions. And it comes down to the fact that a cavalry charge is just super devastating, super effective against, oh, well, anything. And that includes pike units. And I don't like saying this, but it just has to be said. Even if you have a lot of pike units, if they're not facing the damn cavalry, two cavalries coming in from like opposite sides, one cavalry is going to get killed, the other cavalry is going to kill your unit. There is nothing you can do unless the pike unit is facing the cavalry. If the pike unit is very good, I mean, like, pike units are very effective against cavalry, almost twice effective against cavalry, meaning that you could throw two sets of cavalry at one pike unit and they would kill one of the cavalry with no losses, and then take a heavy loss with the second cavalry, but still kill it. And that's very impressive because the difference here is that as long as there's no anti-cavalry, anything that really affects cavalry, a cavalry charge will just mow down everything. There's very few units that actually survive a cavalry charge because of a lot of multiplying effects. I think at base damage for a winged Hussar charge is like 6,000 damage. Like, a winged Hussar does 6,000 damage against high armor shit, it's around about 3,000. But that's 3,000 per model from a Winged Stars. You could get hit with the whole 18 Winged Stars, and that's 3,000 damage multiplied by 18. You're dead. Like, there's no way you're surviving that. So it's a pretty slow start, pretty standard to expect. I think both sides have used quite a bit of artillery in this case. Really good work coming out from CNC as they managed to destroy probably 2 generations of siege towers. This third generation will probably make it up to the wall. Uh, no. They didn't ban the new class. Every time the CBL is released, the season it's released in you will never be able to use the new stuff in the new sorry. If CBL starts and new stuff is introduced, those won't be allowed in the game. It's kind of like version fixing. So they're fixed to a set of units from the start of the CBL. So when the CBL starts, those units are the only units you're allowed to use. Well, that's because you guys haven't started yet. You guys haven't started yet, have you? You can't use the new units which are in the current season. Yes, CBL and the current season are offset from each other. So again, it's a little bit hard to explain, but like they changed it so that CBL no longer matches up to the seasons, and they're only doing CBL bi-yearly, meaning one for summer, one for winter. And I get that. It's a bit different, but I get that. Um, Only one siege tower up. I think BPJT would be stupid to take this fight. um, the middle siege tower is hotly contested, though. Definitely hotly contested. A few of the traps have been. Whoa! Friendly fire there, but it's actually from a jewel blade from CNC using their own cannons against them, which is good. A gate push is The gate push is actually really good because most of them should be up on the wall. It's a swing, so they swing one side, then they'll swing the other side, and I don't think this is. I think this is really terrible for CNC because one unit after the other is going to be slow to come through, and they have the heroes. Oh, could they hold it? It could be possible, but the swarm of units is just crazy. They are bursting through, but the millions have holding that choke super well. The shield maidens there on the left hand side is cleaning up very quickly, and the suppression is good. We're seeing a good suppression from CNC. They managed to catch it. The Nafan, the Zyka-Lian militia managed to throw. They did get killed, but they managed to throw. Coco's good job stalled out a lot of the units. The units that charged in, the Mammalians, in fact, coming in a second after the Claymores, really locked up that siege tower, stopping a lot of units from pouring through. And it just goes to show you that even if the defenders were a little bit late, as long as they're able to lock that tower down, it's a death trap, absolute death trap, and really lucky, I would say, from CNC that you still had just enough units to suppress that siege tower. Again, it would have been better if you had a unit still on either side. The shield maidens coming in, cleaning up the heroes, going for those Cocos. Um, it was quite lacking. This hold will be interesting because, again, it's a half reset. Or not, actually. I just realized that there is so much cavalry coming out from BPJT. BPJT you might be actually shooting themselves in the foot here because I just realized that I think four of their guys have cavalry, only cavalry left, and they're going to go for the supply point. It's not a bad play, but why so much cavalry? Is it because they only have cavalry left? That is probably what's happening. Chevaliers with the Cortelier pick. I love the combination, although it's not very efficient. Here comes the charge. Mass cavalry. Oh, coming in from an angle could get a good pick, but nevertheless does get killed in the end. Even if you could kill the front of the that swarm, you would never have been able to kill everything that comes afterwards. But I mean, you would have probably got stopped by the crossbows in the first place. You don't know Cav can climb stairs now? Oh man, I would love to see that. No, what would be really funny is that if the Chevaliers themselves can't climb, but the Demez Obelisk, their retinue could climb the wall. That would be funny. That would be so funny. You could literally be climbing with the retinue unit on top of the wall, fighting with just the retinue unit, and the Chevaliers are just funking out down below. So I don't know. I honestly don't know what BPJT's actions are. They have pure superiority here down on the ground, but once they get up, that is lost like wholesale because they have probably 5 guys with cavalry. They're gonna have to win. I would say a 12v10 because it looked like CNC only has about 12 members up here on the wall, while 3 of them are still on the ground. And that's not good. That's not good. So, Coco Throwers go through. The battle will kick off here on the left-hand side. It's going to be a bit late there for the backhand side if they are going for a rear push. But it does look like CNC is devastating that front line. Look at that. Look at that center just break right through with that Mammalian charge, followed by the Claymores. Claymores, Mammalian charge. I think the Claymores here support is what's really holding clutch for CNC. Because, let's be honest here, that 35% damage reduction for melee is crazy. A good lockup by the guys there on on the ground for CNC. Though I'm not particularly sure if they were really necessary in order to lock up the units that are on the ground. They were pretty much useless. You can't really do anything. These guys on the ground really can't do anything. Bro, why does the hero horse can climb stairs and yeah, really? You find the fact that us heroes on mounts can climb stairs, but the cavalry unit can't offensive? Really? Oh yeah, no, for sure, 100% for sure. Um, to be honest, I would have used my cavalry to break through the front gate. If I was going for a front gate push, I would have gone for a front gate push because it does look like CNC would have taken the fight down on the ground, and I would have used my cavalry early, switched out to my shield maidens, and that cleared up the wall. First of all, it would be because that you don't actually use that many polearm units, so your cavalry is actually kind of safe. Secondly, they probably won't be expecting a lot of cavalry because it's still in the wall phase. So if you're going to go for a front gate push, bring your strongest ground unit, your cavalry. I would definitely instead of going through that death tower, like again, middle tower, always a death sentence. Never go up it, even if you think you got a shot. Because you're just going to end up in a bad situation. I would have deployed cavalry first. First and foremost, cavalry through the front gate, breakthrough. Doesn't matter what's going to stop you, because what is going to stop you is pike units, which are very uncommon during a wall hold, which CNC definitely wanted to do. And the bad mistake here is that BBJT should have just taken the ground fight because regardless of what happens, as long as CNC is forced off the wall, you could just send one person up there. You could just send one person up there, three people up there. Make sure that the fight is not up on the wall. There are two ways to really force the defender team in a bad situation, and that is to overwhelm them in a different location. So fight where the enemy isn't. So you're fighting where the enemy doesn't want to fight. But if they fight there, then you're going to force them to be unable to defend that A point. And it did look like TNC wanted to fight at the front gate because they were coming down in force. But when you switched back to the tower, would it be incorrect to say that attackers from that scenario would actually have to go a longer route than the defenders? I think the defenders still have a pretty long route to get back to the tower, but the attackers definitely gonna have to run through that tower. Well, running back to that tower is going to be much more time wise, especially even if you have faster units. I just want to put it down to that BPJT's decision to go back through that tower. Critical failure because CNC was still there, ready to lock them up. Even though the defense wasn't solid, it still managed to hold. And that's all you need to do. By the skin of their... Like, again, CNC only held that tower by the skin of their teeth. Their units on that tower would have been blown through um without those ball throwers, without that CC on the unit that was there would have failed, would have let the entire enemy army up onto that siege tower, and pure dominance of presence, giving them that space, allowed them to challenge the forces from CNC. Yeah. The sandwich, I even like I get it that the attackers might have a shorter route. The defenders either or going from the front gate from the attacker's perspective, it's still going up a siege tower that you have to turn either left or you turn right. Most of the time, the defenders are going to come in from your right, so you must turn right. But if the defenders come through, they've already made a U-turn, and now they just go straight through. If any attackers get up on the wall, they're already charging straight at him. And so what? The tower, like the siege tower, is never you never go left into the siege tower. You just keep going forward, crush the enemy in front of you, and then set up on the other side. You just swing back around and just set up. Coming down to a field battle, so it's going to be quite interesting because CNC, I've never really seen them lose a match in this tournament so far, and this will be the first time that we come down to a field battle with them. I think BPJT also it's similar. They haven't actually lost a match either, and will also be the first field battle for me. So, will these guys have practice? Again, like, field battles are a rarity. They're not actually that common. We did get to see a couple with some of the other battles, but not with these teams. Not with these teams. These teams have been quite the most competitive teams in the league so far. CNC, historic champions, again, of previous leagues and tournaments, easily the favorite to win the Asia division, but BPJT has definitely shown their mettle against CNC in the current battle that they're having. And nevertheless, the record is still similar. BPJT has probably not lost a battle to be here in the winner's bracket. Oh man, if you beat CNC, you get a medal. That's a huge accolade. Yeah, that's an accolade right there. I would definitely love to give. I would definitely love to give BPJT a medal for beating CNC. One of, if not the strongest team that has really not had a challenger. And even if BPJT is kind of like a branch or a sub house of CNC, the fact that CNC now has a challenger is amazing. It's actually a breath of fresh air if BPJT actually pushes CNC to the point. But we could also um, something like that. I might be wrong about that. Don't quote me on that. If Did One was here, he would clear it up. Um, at this point, I have no idea if they're from China mainland or from Taiwan because it's really hard to say or really hard to tell just from the names alone. I actually have to have like, from what I remember, the original CNC members, most of them were from China mainland. They did go back. They did fight in the NetEase tournament back in one of the seasons. I don't know which one. And then they came back to Asia. Again, they were looking for a challenge. Went to China mainland one, beat the China mainland one, came back to Asia, still beat Asia, still can't really find a challenge. So I do know that most of the 386s are from China mainland, and the team that they did submit did pretty well. Didn't make it past the qualifying phase. They keep changing their names, which is really hard to pinpoint if I don't know if I don't know the players. So 386 does like to send in multiple teams as well. Not that they make it past the qualifying phase. Well, actually, no. They Matessa managed to make it past the qualifying phase back in the, I think the one before the summer. I think it was the Tyranny tournament one. So I think it's pretty tough. I think it's pretty tough for Asia division tournaments, mainly because the number of teams that really come through is actually quite healthy for the league. Um, Sometimes their qualifying phase, again, are not particularly good because they want to do a round robin, but they don't have everyone face everyone, and they don't have everyone do the same number of matches, and then it's just like you're trying to set up a schedule, but it's just the schedule just doesn't turn out very well, and or the system is just not equal. So hopefully they keep refining it league after league. And again, still, we have a 20k prize pool, which 10k goes to the winners. And again, I think it's seven. I think it's like either 5 or 7k goes to the runner-up, and then 2.5 or whatever remains goes to the uh, second runner-up. So do hope that people get excited for $500. There's 20 people in a team, so good luck. The prize pool again is great. It's really great. I love this game, and I do think that the current balance allows for a lot of units to be used. It's not a wholesale kind of one thing that, one thing this. You're not just a majority of things either. The pick ban as well. First time we've had the pick ban for the units, and already it's showing a massive effect on us. You do know the prize pool is in USD, right? The prize pool is in USD. It's not in yuan. 1 month of AUD could feel for a whole year. No way, man. Although, like, although we're on paper, like the Australian dollar is worth more yuan. you have to also remember that it's the entire market that uses yuan versus the entire market that uses Australian the Australian dollar. So we only have relevance because the materials inside our own economy keeps getting sold off to other economies to fuel their economies. So our dollar is very important because we set the prices for our shit. But I mean, once people don't need our raw materials anymore, then we're in the shitter. Easily set, like easily just goes down to nothing. Oh, grassland, grassland assault. It is a map. You know, a long time ago, they used to do Emerald River, the most boring ass field map they have ever created, and they were trying to push that one. And I was just, man, I kept telling them, Grassland Assault is 100 times better. Wuquin Mountain, 100 times better. I would have rather a Wuquin Mountain than Emerald or Grassland. But if I had to choose out of the types, Grassland all the way. Emerald River is a boring ass map, boring ass um boring ass fight because what happened to you're right, only 14 CNC members. Did one of them Oh my goodness. You do know, CNC, you do realize that unless BPJT allows a rematch, you have just forfeited. Oh my goodness. Hang on. We're gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to wait, and I'm gonna have to listen in as well. But that is that is illegal. Okay, hang on, wait. No. There is allegedly from like Josh has said allegedly um one of the OBs was apparently in the teams. Yeah. You can't hear the streams because again, I don't take the audio from them. The clean feed doesn't have the audio. Yeah, the clean feed doesn't have the audio. I just listen it from their Twitch, but nevertheless, what I'm just telling you what I just heard, but CNC fanboy taking a spot. One of the observers apparently was in the team, so a rematch was called. So a rematch is happening. But let me kind of sus. I didn't actually see an like if you look at the names, if you look at the names, I didn't actually see an observer. Observers have a different name, by the way. They have OB as the at the start. So it here's the thing though. We are getting closer. Might be scared. Oh my goodness. If one person from CNC doesn't connect, then again, internet issues are something that are your own fault. Like you can't you can't blame the game because your internet connection is unstable. You can't call a rematch if a player cannot connect to the game. That is a happenstance and is more accidental but cannot be accounted for in official battles. So there is such thing as a game-breaking bug can be reported, but most of the time, if the observer doesn't call it, the observer doesn't if the observer doesn't see the bug happening in action, then most of the time it will just go it the like again, there's referees to determine or decide what happens. But just to put it in plain English, you leave you leave and forfeit the match. A rematch can be called if the other team agrees, but in most cases, the referee still decides whether or not a rematch goes forward. If there is no issue, if there is an issue, the referee declares whether or not the issue required a rematch, and then most of the time, the referee would just allow the opponents to decide. Well, if there's no issue, if the issue wasn't important or significant enough for a rematch to happen, for the referee to decide a rematch to happen, the referee normally asks the opponents whether or not a rematch should happen. And in good faith, rematches have happened before, but it's just really telling. It's just really telling that the issue or the problem that they gave us wasn't something we could see. As I mean, like, I'm just a commentator. I didn't see an observer in the thing, but I mean, I could look over the VOD and see if that was true. He's nervous on the surface. On the surface, he looks calm and ready. Mom spaghetti. Eminem's has some of the best raps. I also do love listening to Eminem. I think it's also a different kind of rap. The more you listen to different like raps. That is true, but the referee should not have started the match if the teams weren't ready. So this is very important as well because there is a ready clause. I mean, there is a ready check before the match starts. Yeah, that is a game breaking bug. That is a game breaking bug. I mean, I have experienced this myself, in fact, as an observer for the thing. Um, it's it's a game issue for sure. It would be very unfortunate to experience it this late in the game as well, since the chances of it happening is actually fairly much lower than it was before. Um, Back in the day when we barely got access to these matches, um, the chances of not being able to load into the battle was quite infrequent. But I think more or less that should have been cleaned up a while back. Is that still something that happens nowadays, Mask? Honestly, I haven't experienced something like that in a while. Not that I've even heard of it happening. When's the last time you guys experienced it, Mask? Some when you load into a battle or you don't load into a battle. Okay, interesting. I could understand. There are some game breaking bugs, but it's up to the referee. Again, the referee decides ultimately what happens. All right. Okay, I'm gonna go for a 3-minute ad. Hopefully they don't start the battle in that time. I'm gonna grab a drink as well. Man, I wish I had some chocolate right now. The no setup change would be nice, but I think it's harder to enforce because it is 30 players multiplied by like their warband, and you can have tons of combinations and stuff. It would it would be it would be easier if their warbands were chosen before entering the battle, but they are able to change their warband up until the battle loading screen. So that is, if there was an additional step to lock in, if you could lock in your warband before loading into battle, because there are there's 3 sets of loading screens. You have the ready, so you have the lobby, then you go into the pre-selection screen, and then you go into battle. If you could have the lobby and the pre-selection as one before you go into battle, you could restrict the setup a bit more. But it's hard to do because of the layers of how it works. Because the first is the lobby of just the players. The second pre-selection screen is limited, and you need to select, and you can select your warbands and change it at any time. I think you could do it. I think the referees would have a very hard time because it's 30 players, again, 30 different warbands, and you have to make sure that not only does the players take the exact same units, you need to make sure 30 different players took the exact same units they did before. So a rematch in this case with a no setup with a no setup change clause, it's actually a lot of work, and I would definitely not want to do rematches as much as possible. For me, at least. Okay, so this is the pick ban for the next set of battles. Again, we are overtime, and it's most of the time very unexpected for a third battle to happen. But nevertheless, This is interesting. Holy cow. YYY bans out Heilung Fjord, goes for Hidden City. G&G bans out Harbor City, goes for Linwu Fortress. G&G loves Linwu Fortress, actually, so why am I not surprised to see it? But YYY bans out Metallictors, Halberdiers, and Smartian Stalwarts. Very interesting to see that they do safe pick Zykllian Militia for the Lin Fortress. And again, those guys will be very, 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 very difficult. G&G bans out Siphonarios and the Mermilones. So I wonder why the ban on the Winged Sarge as well. G&G is going to have a hard time inside Hidden City, I think. Without the ability to have either of the heavy shield units, and, I mean, granted, I have no idea. I have no idea. Right now, I think a rematch is being organized. I have no idea at this present time. I probably missed the call. But I heard that a rematch is supposedly supposed to be happening, but organizing that rematch right now is taking a little bit longer than expected. So in the meantime, we get to see the pick ban for YYY versus GNG. We'll have to wait for the official. We'll have to wait for the official call. I'll keep an ear out. Oh wow. Okay, so BPJT didn't want to fight the Grassland Assault. I mean, the third battle because CNC forfeited. So it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. So it is happening. CNC versus BPJT is going to happen on Grassland Assault. I am very strongly, I am very strongly, very, 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 very strongly of the opinion that the referee must call the rematch before CNC quit the match. The fact that CNC quit the match instantly gave me the impression that they wanted to rematch straight away as soon as possible. And I'm not even sure when the referee would have called the rematch. I'm not sure. But I guess the stalemate has been cancelled. I think BPJT wanted to take the win and not fight CNC on the field battle because on a technicality, CNC did forfeit the field battle and a rematch wasn't called by the referee. But a rematch is still probably being organized, and it is happening because supposedly BPJT is participating in the rematch. I don't think the referee's giving them much choice in the matter, though, so yeah, it's going to be quite interesting. Which is also very hard to say. Um, I can imagine a situation where the referee disqualifies BPJT and sends them down to the losers bracket, or a rematch does not happen and CNC just loses. So either way, the referee has a lot of power right now in determination. I'm quite interested in the pick ban for YYY versus GNG, but I'm actually kind of surprised that GNG managed to get this far. Classically, GNG has not really had a strong performance like this. They normally get eliminated probably around about halfway. They're normally in like top 16. Never been in the top 4 before, especially in the winners bracket. I think it's also pretty sad that ECL didn't make it in. So you get that kind of thing. ECL's kind of been the top 4 team, probably at least better than GNG. It's going to be a long day, I think. Not to mention I need to go to work tomorrow. Hey, I don't blame them either. On technicality, they should have won by forfeit. They should have won by default because CNC forfeited. But it's very hard to prove intent as well. So you can't blame CNC player for not connecting on purpose to cause a rematch because a rematch a rematch is something that I work as a stock taker, so I get called in for jobs sometimes. Well, I mean, I have a job. I do my own I do accounting or I do database entry and I do stock taking. So I get to count stock. A. So even if okay, so here's the thing, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Even if the bug is genuine, the problem is that the tournament has a clause where disconnection issues or issues connecting to the game is your problem. They have a clause in the tournament rules that states that if you disconnect, if you cannot connect, and if um, it can be. I'm not disagreeing that it can be, but the clause particularly state that disconnection from the game disconnection from the game is entirely your fault, or it's if you cannot connect to the game, if you cannot connect to the game, that you have to have a stable connection, internet connection. You cannot you cannot blame the game for disconnecting, and that's very important. That's very important because the clause also eliminates the eliminates um eliminates the option of connection bugs, which could be a game issue. Here we go. It does look like they've loaded in now. We don't get to see the units this time. Thanks, Dad. Ugh, man. I want to say that the safe approach for CNC and BPJT is pretty standard. I would definitely not want to take the hard road of A and C. But it also means that it should stalemate pretty hard in a few seconds because it does look like BPJT will grab the B point. Doesn't look like CNC wants to challenge them. We do see some prefecture archers out on the field, and this is very important as well. I think the prefecture archer pick here is designed or used particularly to counter chevalier crossbows. And that's really damn good. That's really damn good. Don't need to go all the way to you don't need to go all the way to longbows, which have the longest range and also have bonus versus range. So CNC does pick up, opens up the point. Both sides open the point for 2 minutes. Now, in a game of chess, you want to, you definitely want to pressure your opponent. And both of these teams setting up such a way that they protect themselves from getting hit while trying to pressure the enemy team. They're using a lot of artillery. I think CNC's placed down a lot more of their artillery than BPJT. And it's difficult to say whether or not BPJT wants to get this B point back now because, again, in this position, CNC is actually in a better position because they have the C and the B point, which will be closing up in about a minute. I mean, 20 seconds for CNC. So CNC, if they ever do want to make a move, they should make a move in around about 12 seconds. Unable to come down, grab that. Now the closing up of the advantage. BPJT comes in, couple of heroes. They grab the B point back, opens up the two sides. So BPJT does pick up 2 kills here. Reset on the B point. More heroes might be looking to come through here. And it's going to be a slow game. Both sides are very cautious of each other because they know that each side... They know that the first person to attack normally loses. Because what's one thing about the B point that is very important is that it's very difficult to stabilize once you've gone in. Because most of the time, there is a bait force where you could just have one hero in. All of the units uses their ability to get in onto B point. So CNC has a real big problem right now with their heroes. They're down 3 heroes right now. BPJT loses 1. You want to make sure Monastic Knight comes in from the side here, does crushes the Cataprax in the back there, but does get cleaned up really easily by the Chevaliers. Now that now it's like a standoff. Range units are in range of each other, and they are very close. BPJT could pull the trigger, but they're running straight into a defensive formation of Chevaliers. The Chevaliers are really going to be the hard stopper unit in this field. The Chevaliers are both protected by heavy cavalry and have ranged units, so they have much more flexible. As long as you keep that unit alive, you can definitely get a good value. Both sides of the Chevalier do lose a little bit. I think out of the exchanges right now, ooh, big throw, right into a Chevalier right there, and I'm pretty sure I'm seeing a lot of Demez Arbalest burning. Not very good. That is very bad for CNC to lose those important range units because every single unit right now for both sides incredibly important. Very good to use the prefecture archers as whoop, here we go. Outriders. Oh man, nice snipe, kills out 3. Like, the small skirmishes are as important as the big battles. Small losses for BPJT is slowly mountain, but I think CNC has lost a couple of key units. BPJT just throws in their javelin units, trying to take out the remainder of a Chevalier, and takes out the prefecture archers, which is not actually a very good, which is actually not very good for CNC. CNC losing out probably one of their most important units. I would say that prefecture archer is extraordinarily important. Not to mention the range value. CNC could be looking for a fight here, but they're woefully undermanned right now as they get pushed off here on the backside. Battle does come screaming through right now. Oh man, the cataphracts kind of just cleaned up there. Also in the center here is a wild mess. CNC does clean up there on the left-hand side. Right-hand side is getting cleaned up by BPJT, but BPJT's backside getting cleared through by the Daggerak Lancers here, and that is not good. BPJT got cleaned off of this B point, and definitely a massive advantage right now for CNC, and rightfully so. Winning that battle right now puts a clear indicator that CNC is now in the lead, while BPJT is going to have a more difficult time. And I think here, because BPJT were the aggressors, and it is true, they were the aggressors, they definitely lost the initiative. CNC was ready to catch, almost undisciplined there, ready for a reversal, and it's just bad timing. BPJT, if they could have held out just a little bit longer, could have just secured the B point, engaged them where they were coming in, and secure that B point, just waited just a little bit longer, and waited for CNC to pull the trigger, I think BPJT could have cleared. I think BPJT could have held the advantage. Now it's going to be very anxious for BPJT. CNC might be looking to do the exact same thing. They're going to challenge BPJT, and lo and behold, right now, BPJT goes in for an aggressive charge straight into the lines of crossbows with water brachiots. Water brachiots get in from the side, but stops that Chevalier wholesale. Unfortunately, right now getting flanked on the backhand side and from the front, but it's a complete massacre from CNC on the B point as they're clearing through. BPJT comes in with a reversal with cataphracts, and holy cow, where are these units coming from? I need a wider view, my cameraman. BPJT just cleared off of CNC's counter push there. I don't know where these units are coming from, but surprisingly, the Chevaliers are still holding, and they're still going strong. Daggerak Lancers comes through for BPJT after a Daggerak Lancer comes in from CNC, but a massive miss as they get caught up there in the barricade. CNC is still holding strong, and they're clocking out the heroes one by one. Cataphracts and Daggerak Lancers now coming through for CNC, and this could be a fight for the finish, with BPJT losing in the end. And this is a very, very, very bad, very, very bad situation to be in, as the point is still solid in red right now. BPJT, being the aggressor, loses out really hard in the end, and it's always just very shocking. Always just very shocking. I'm pretty sure that BPJT actually starts off super strong, regardless of how that engagement went, because that right-hand side coming through, I felt that it had a very strong momentum, could have cleaned up CNC if they swung around better, but nevertheless, fighting tooth and nails for this point. This with serfs on the point. With actually, there is a halberdier sergeant on the point for CNC, so that definitely is going to stay in CNC's favor. There's just a lot of serfs right now. I do have to say, BPJT, the the unfortunate thing here is that being the aggressor is a has a definite lower return rate in higher tier, because when you go in, you normally end up with a lot of strong points. So you're running into the enemy, and the enemy is just really, really strong everywhere. No matter where you attack, the enemy is just very, very strong. And BPJT also didn't come in together. They did come in together through the B point, didn't come in together through the left-hand side, and that's what I hate to see. You have a very strong team, BPJT, but your commitment sometimes is a little lopsided. When you have a big advantage, you go for it. When you have a very, or even a disadvantage, you can't make the best of it. You lose the Chevaliers with the Courtiers instantly. You charge in through the right hand side. You actually win, because there's not very much on the left hand side. You hold off on attacking that main force, and you try to get a sandwich. You shouldn't have sent in the Chevaliers in the first place. CNC did a very very good job. They knew that they had to always challenge. They knew that they had to challenge the B point every time BPJT went in for it. The difficult thing here is the timing. They want to have BPJT overextend so that they get the first few units killed off. And then morale shatters as all of a sudden you sent a unit through and you just see CNC just screaming through, and it's just like, oh no, you're down one unit and there's just like 10 of them now. You're always going to be on the back foot when you do an assault like how BPJT did, because you're not attacking CNC. And this is one of the most crucial things that I think people kind of miss. You're not attacking CNC, you're attacking the B point. And when they lose sight on the goal and waste their units, you go down one by one. um, I think I think it's pretty impressive the number of times I saw a reversal. I honestly thought that BPJT actually had the upper hand in the second engagement, only to be proven wrong. Only to be proven wrong. And that's really hard to pull off, because timing has to come naturally. You can't plan for timing because you don't know how the enemy will respond. You can make predictions, but you can't predict the reaction that will happen in the moment. You have to feel the moment. And it's very difficult. There are times where a counterattack from CNC would have failed. But the fact that it didn't means that BPJT was in an overextended situation. They've overextended, meaning that every single unit was spent, was caught out, was in a bad situation, at a disadvantage. I I also think that it's hard. I would say it would be hard to be in a situation where the enemy is just that good at pushing and pulling. Because CNC, okay, so you're like, I understand what you're saying. CNC pulls the enemy in and then pushes back. That's why you get so many reversal, because it looks like CNC is losing, all of a sudden they're winning. But realistically, I think what what really happening, what is really happening is that BPJT is attacking, but they are not aiming for CNC. They're aiming for the B point. So when they get to the B point, they don't know what to do. So they look for the enemy and just charge straight for them, because they were expecting a fight and go straight for the fight. The setup here, yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's a damn trap. It's Admiral Akbar, it's a trap. Because CNC was waiting for BPJT to overextend, and the overextending is immediately when they go for that B point. They're not defending the B point, they're killing BPJT, and that is, I reiterate, it's a very important difference. The goals of both teams was different. BPJT not only defended the B point, but also killed BPJT. When BPJT came in to attack the B point, they were expecting CNC to defend it straight away. But this broke their tempo. This breaks their tempo because CNC's not there. You lose momentum. And I understand that this is where you think CNC pulls them in. Sort of, but not really. They make it. They reverse the situation to where BPJT is not attacking anymore. They're defending. CNC, on the other side, is not defending. They're attacking. Because they're attacking to get their point back. And this reversal of roles tricks the original attacker, in this case BJT, and it also sets the tempo for CNC. Because BPJT already on the back foot. They've come in expecting an attack, and all of their units are normally orientated in attacking positions. To break that, BPJT needs to move into a defensive position. But the problem is that they've already moved into attack position. So they're not ready for defending. Oh yes, that is probably the easiest and probably most simplest thing you can do. You bait the enemy to clump together at the B point, in this case, and then you just come in and sweep them out. Come in and sweep them out. Easy. BPJT is no slouch, though. They definitely want to attack, so you have to expect the attack. Oh my god, that's a perfect similarity. Yeah, BPJT made CNC all clump in the very first siege battle, all clumped up onto that supply point, ready to be eaten, get surrounded by BPJT, and then just massacred. You never want to be in a situation where you're surrounded. Because the moment one side is weak, the enemy breaks through. They just kill the other side. They just keep going through. It's like they just Karma. I think it's a little bit more dynamic here on the field battle than it is for a siege battle, but BPJT's managed to pull it off. Or, well, a successful sally, since we rarely, if not haven't seen a successful sally in um in CBL. Or maybe we have. Maybe that's the second successful sally. I can't remember. There has been quite a few sallies, and a lot of them being unsuccessful. But that was probably one of the stronger sallies that we've seen. That oh no, wait, you're right. We have seen sallies before. Um, yes, that is correct. Why on Heilong Fjord. Um, was it Heilong Fjord? Pretty sure it was Heilong. No? Oh, okay. Same map. Same map. Opposite. Possibly. There's probably another oh, no, there was a mid-game Sally. That was a mid-game Sally from YYY when basically the defenders are basically spent. Oh, nevertheless. We're actually going to get to see YYY fighting up against Guntier next, so... I mean, I doubt there's going to be a Sally. I would be very surprising. What you do know, what's surprising is that we're not actually going to get a Harbor City. GNG bans out Harbor City for this set, and we actually get a Linwu Fortress with a Hidden City. I'm so surprised that not only Heilong Fjord gets banned, but Harbor City got banned as well. So I'm just wondering what GNG have in mind for attacking Linwu Fortress. So we do get Linwu Fortress first. I'm eating, unfortunately. Ah, I want to eat my eggs. Sorry. Hmm. YYY is defending with GNG attacking. Going in with Medal and Iron Reaper. The Iron Reaper pick could win out against the Shield Maiden. Shield Maiden combination with Iron Reapers and Royal Janissary. Sorry, Silidars. We see Palace Guards actually coming out from YYY. Honestly, I would probably pick more Halberdier Sergeants. And it's actually a really good counter, because charging your Iron Reapers into Halberdier Sergeants is asking for death. That is a good point. Silidars probably same with Silidars, same with Iron Reapers, don't actually have very many good doctrines. But naturally, Silidars and Iron Reapers are probably two of the most strongest units in the game. For their cost, probably not the best. The only problem with Silidars is most of the time you want Shock Troopers. They don't have a kind of charge ability. But Silidars are really great as a vanguard to not only begin the fight, but also end the fight. Because although they can't charge in, they really do fight on equal terms against many units. They trade damage like no other. It's a little bit different for Iron Reapers, however, who front load a lot of their damage into their skills. So in the long run, Iron Reapers actually really struggle in a fight. Um, Once the charge goes through, they have around about 12 seconds of kind of bonus strength. Once that ends, well, I mean, like, again, 12 seconds is long enough for the Iron Reapers to really clean up a fight. But if you can extend a fight past that 12 seconds, Iron Reapers really start to lose out, even against some of the more basic units. And being able to survive that much damage is also a very, very, very hard thing to do, especially against multiple Iron Reapers. Silidars are really great for two reasons, and that's one, they have a really high hit limit when they use their skills, and the second thing is that they're actually really tough to kill. While attacking, they have 20% less, they take 20% less damage. When they get hit 3 times, they take 26% less damage. So, up front, you would think that if you just charge into Silidars, they'd normally just fall down and die. In this case, a lot of units, especially from the GNG side, actually doesn't have a lot of damage straight away. Even Shield Maidens will struggle to kill the Silidars, but not to the extent where they will lose. It will just be a struggle. The question is whether or not other things will be able to support the Silidars in dealing damage, because I think one of the problems nowadays is the struggle to break through a lot of shield units. Soaking up damage is very important, and shield maidens do that very well. But, nevertheless, a charge from an Iron Reaper Flail in particular will basically break through any shield unit very simply. Very simply and effectively. A crazy amount of mortars coming out from GNG here. And it goes to show you that GNG's mortaring is being effective right now. Only problem is that they just lost a Axe Raider. I don't know why you would ever take these things. Like, never take. The only thing I would say is that is GNG stupid? Because why would you take the fight on these corners? They just lost another heap of units. They're trying to get up onto the wall, but YYY is just lemming training it from one side to the other. They've already beaten out 2 whole units. Now, do you have enough? It's a good question. They're up on the wall, but can you stabilize? No, you cannot. You just get broken right through. And this is a really good combination. I didn't actually expect this. I didn't expect this too much, but YYY using the Imperial Spear Guard with the Silidars, actually a really good holding combination, because one unit will deal damage, one unit will tank a lot more damage, but they're both very tanky. And this case, getting pushed out super hard. I would agree with you on that if, like, there weren't other avenues. First of all, never run through the front wall. Never run through that broken wall to go up through those stairs. Why? Those are the smallest stairs in the game. There is no set of stairs that is more difficult or more nauseating to fight up than these two. Not only are these stairs small, the smallest stairs I've ever seen, they're also hard turns. One of them, in fact, gets you to do an almost U-turn. The other one gives you up into the intersection. These 2 stairs are an almost automatic loss for anyone. No matter how tough you think you are, if the defenders are defending those 2 points, you're going to struggle. I would, and if I was GNG right now, go through the front gate, go through the other gate, get onto the ground inside. Because, you know why? The stairs inside are 100 times better and easier to fight. The biggest difference is location. You want to fight where the defenders don't want to fight. You want to fight for area and you want to suppress the enemy. So you get into the enemy's weak spots. Don't go for the enemy's strong points. The Treb won't do you neither anyway. So the wall in this section really makes it difficult for attackers to get up. As long as you get up, like, here's the thing. G&G has around about 2.5 minutes ago. You need to get up onto the wall, but you can't do it in very short amount of time. The shortest amount of time you can get up onto the wall is through those two tiny holes, but they're defending the crap out of it. You see, I thought that G&G did a really good job with the mortaring, but I realized that it's actually not a very good job because they're still taking the same damn route that will keep them losing. The longswords are doing an amazing job at keeping their guys alive, which is really good. They get up onto the wall, they're unable to stabilize. These medalls are going to get chopped into pieces along with that halberdier. Now, the swinging here from YYY does give them a worse advantage in the long term, but here's the thing. They're still fighting though. They gain a little bit, they lose a little bit, but they're still gaining in the end. I don't know why GNG chose this map and attacked like this. And I have to commend YYY for 2 reasons. Stay on the damn wall. I would never touch the ground if I'm defending A point. There is no point to touch that damn ground if you're defending A point. You just use that supply up there. Those are men-at-arms, surprisingly. Probably a cheaper alternative, mainly because of warband restriction. So you go with a triple tier 4 setup, so you go for stuff that are cheap. And, I mean, you go for something pretty expensive, probably starting off with those things. And again, Cover Commander straight into a Death Ball. Like, look at that Death Ball. Look how fast that Death Ball is as well. Because the Longsword is also speeding them up. G&G starts off with a good mortaring, good pressure, only to take the hard road. And I say this because G&G, you have no idea how to attack Linui Fortress against a good attacker. Because everything you did at the beginning was good enough for weak-ass teams. Because if you get hit by a bunch of mortars, everyone would have fled. Everyone would have fled that A point. No. By the time you got up those stairs, YYY was still there. They were waiting for you, and they chopped you to pieces. And I'm going to have to be real with you here. G&G, do you not know anything else? Not only did you try to do that once, you tried it a second time. You mortared them, and then tried to go up those stairs again. Whenever has the same strategy worked against a good team? Never. If you do the same thing twice in the same match, you are going to not only lose as hard as before, but you are also playing to the tempo of the defenders. You need to break the tempo of the defenders because you're the attackers. You have the initiative. But if you lose that initiative, you not only put yourself in a bad situation, you put the rest of the game in a bad situation because you no longer have that pressure. You no longer have that little bit of leeway caused from having trebs, from having more artillery. You lose pressure onto the defenders. The defenders are on high. They have super morale. They're going to be like, The attackers are stupid. They're taking the hard road. I'm ready to fight them. When they get up here, I will win. That is the worst thing you can do. Because if you lose the initiative as the attackers, the defenders are 100% stronger than they were before you fought them. And yeah, other routes. There's so many ways you could have played Linwee Fortress besides the way you did. Because that's the stupid way. You go up through that wall break into that thing. You use those avenues inside not as your primary. They're secondary because they're worthless. They're almost they're basically death sentences against a good team ready to defend that wall. You're going through those sets of stairs, those 3 stairs next to that wall break, basically a death sentence because they're all going to be next to A. You won't be able to get up onto the wall. You have to take a hard turn for 2 of them, and one of them actually causes a lot of your units to clump up in a bad way. And when I mean a bad way, I mean you get up, and there's 2 forces. There's 2 ways the defenders can defend against you: straight on and from the side. You're pushed up against a wall here. And again, like stairs are just really difficult. If anyone's defending at the top of the stairs, good luck trying to push through that. Good luck, because I don't think anyone has a good time pushing up. There are times where you can overwhelm the defenders. Today was not the day. YYY was ready for you. They were ready for you. They were ready at the top of those stairs. And I can't believe that not only did you lose your axe raiders at the top of the stairs, that no one would have went, nah, can't go through this way, had to go look for a different way, because you go to one stairs, you go to the other stairs, you went from one stair to the other stair to that stairs to back to the other stairs, and it's just like you're switching between the stairs. The defenders have literally have the exact same amount of space between those stairs as you do, and you're checking each of the stairs. Why? 2 heroes communicating with each other, both check the stairs, be like, okay, we can't go up either of these stairs. The defenders are right there on A. It's not like they moved. Well, they did, but they didn't move far. I just question your... I question your experience here. Have you just had experience with attacking one way? Have you played this map a million ways and won? Or have you just played it one way the entire time? Because I understand the concept of being good at one thing and one thing only. Well, being the master of one thing instead of practicing one strategy once. But practicing 1,000 different strategies once, while a master is good at one strategy and has practiced it 1,000 times, or something bullshit like that. Bruce Lee, whatever Bruce Lee said. But when you're playing a strategy game, the one who knows more wins, because knowledge is power in a strategy game. And you must not only predict the enemy, you must also predict yourself. Through one strategy 1,000 times. CNC is the master of one strategy 1,000 times. CNC, yeah. CNC is the kind of team where it's just like their one strategy is applied to every situation. Now, I look at these teams that have one strategy, but can only use it in this very peculiar situation, or this very precise situation on this particular map in this particular way, against this particular enemy. That's too many conditions. I'd like to believe GNG is here this far into the tournament because they're good. But my goodness, that was a very poor performance for a Linwu attack. I've seen bad Linwu attacks, but this one takes the cake because you're this far into the tournament. And you not only took the same avenue once, you took it twice. I'm upset of myself for believing that GNG you could have actually done something on Linwu because you chose it. But every time I see someone attacking Linwu Fortress, I question their sanity. Because every single Linwu Fortress I've seen so far has ended in failure. Maybe you're not used to it. Maybe it's because they banned out your Heilong Fjord. I don't care. Oh well, not yours. I mean, not yours, actually, yeah, you are correct. The Linwu Fortress from SSR, I forget who they were facing. You actually won. Um, I can't remember what exactly happened during that battle, but you guys also kind of just you guys kind of just waltzed on through the enemy, sort of. It felt like the enemy either didn't defend as well as they should have. Maybe I'm over exaggerating. It's just very upsetting just watching them fight like that. What's happening? Yeah, they're also the same. Too much high expectation for GNG. Also, the battle's just about to start, and I just started eating my next one. Goddamn. Ugh, damn. Why attacking on Hidden City? So, I like the point that I think Josh pulled up on the developer stream there. Or was it the girl? I forget what the girl is. I don't think that's Valletta. I think that's someone else. Or maybe it is. But why has a good range of different maps. I've actually played. I think YYY has played on. I think more variety of maps than anyone else. Well, I just realized that if GNG is going out with a bang, a Sally out definitely going to kill them. Um, I just realized that they might actually succeed with the Sally out. And I say that for two reasons. Teams are woefully underprepared for mass cavalry. woefully underprepared. Yo, GNG, you pull this off, you earn my respect. Oh my god, that treb is going to be amazing. Oh, nice discipline, though. I don't think they lost a single guy. A small contingent comes out, then a huge... G&G must have practiced this, because that was a really smooth sally out. Probably one of the only sally outs where I didn't see a treb actually kill somebody. The climb being held, G&G is holding it, holding with shield maidens only. Now comes the moment whether or not, oh no, big treb. Yep, gonna hit right onto. Now, G&G needs to not be stupid and run straight into those shields. They need to surround them. They're falling back as well. G&G just win. Just win. They're getting trapped like crazy. Don't go in yet. No. Too early, too early, too early. Ah. Okay, they need to surround this point. They're letting their guys waltz in badly. And then the surround is not perfect, but could see a good breakthrough. Cataphracts coming in for the crossbows. So YYY is expecting this. Clears off a lot of the crossbow units. The reversal here is that all of the crossbow chevaliers are killed. And that's not really good for GNG. But they are winning. Oh my god. I just realized that because they won outside, they need to get back to the B point as fast as possible now. GNG, I mean, like, this has set a precedent that is going to be, we're going to see a lot of Chevalier sally outs because this has been too successful. 2 successes in a row. To not use it would be a crime. And I'll be honest here. Why are you climbing? If they climb inside and get themselves killed, would it be better than just rushing straight through the front gate? Is the front gate locked? It's my question. Did they lock the front gate? They probably did. Now, both sides going to have a really difficult time as... Man, would you just go kill yourself? I think if I was GNG, I would just rush into the enemy at B and kill myself much faster. Oh man. This has been the most frustrating battle that I've ever seen. GNG get to the damn base point. Though the Trebs have been coming in, they're coming in and chipping away at that strength. There is so much cavalry from both sides right now. GNG needs to clear off that Fort Horatio. If they do, that's really good for them. With 12 minutes left to go, both sides are basically like they're so aggressive. Both sides is that's what you did in scrim camps play spawn. Yeah, both sides have actually calmed down finally. But holy cow, that aggressiveness from YYY managed to push their defenders all the way into the city, which is good. Which is actually good. This makes because it's a less open space outside. So the best thing here is that they actually still have water brushers, which will be the key to their victory. And they're getting tripped again. Is an effective trip. Most other units will be ineffective, but the number of polearm units is actually still substantial. The only problem is that I think GNG is a little up in terms of. Oh man, maybe I might bite my words soon, as they're just throwing in units and they just lost a bunch. Or to mention, they're getting hit like crazy by the mortars and stuff. Normally, you just. Oh my goodness! That throw right into the Chevaliers would have been amazing just now. And it's hard for the Chevaliers to get through in these sections, but the swarm of cavalry, like water, just going straight in. They're breaking down the formation as they're charging through. They do get trebbed, but do you have the Chevaliers just have pure mass right now, and the Medaus are half dead. These Medaus, the only thing standing. Oh wait, no, there's water brushers in the back. I am so surprised there is actually men-at-arms in there that are also fighting well. Is that the remains of your cavalry? Could be. Really need to take out the Fort Brush. Whoa! More cataphracts come through. I take that back. They still have cavalry. Doesn't maybe I don't know. Like because GNG must have been half unit up. I don't believe that actually. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that YYY has a full set for third wave. I think they have. I think they have. G&G might actually be in a bad situation as well. Because just looking at the numbers, 142 versus basically almost 200, or basically 200. Both sides are looking at around about half strength. So I'm talking about how many high tier units are left from either side. But what are the units? Looks like 4 sets of cavalry, 1 royal janissary, 2 halberdiers. The 2 halberdiers probably make the biggest difference. How many cavalry are left for GNG? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 4 cavalry. And 1 outrider. They got a shield maiden. Wow, I didn't realize how close of a battle this would be, actually. GNG must be running on fumes right now. And the artillery left from either side needs to hit true on those high value units, because hitting serfs means nothing. Means nothing. YYY suffered a major defeat with massive deaths. And oh my god. This makes me realize that after that second defeat, YYY would be on their last life. That's why they're not going in, even though that they have a chance of victory. Or even though it's an equal amount of skill. Wait! Shield Maiden, where are you going? Oh, wait, that was there's 1 leftover Shield Maiden still fighting over there. Okay, never mind. I thought the Shield Maiden from the center left and did something. They shouldn't have. No, actually, no. They're even still. YYY didn't actually trade well. This is bad. This is bad for YYY. I mean, the second battle probably ended up in YYY's favor by a lot, but the first battle absolutely murdered YYY. The second battle probably up massively. Did we just lose a Chevalier? Oh man. It's all about the main units. Serfs fighting serfs is nothing. Those two halberdiers will be your clutch. If YYY just fights around those halberdiers and allow the serfs just to soak up all of the cavalry, they're gonna win. They're gonna win because those halberdiers will be the clutch to hold everything together. They have 4 sets of cavalry. They easily outmuscle GNG. GNG really needs to pick their battle, and if they pick it right, they win wholesale. They need to take out this Daggerak Lancer, because if the Daggerak Lancer really gets in, the Shield Maiden needs support. Where's your support for the Shield Maiden? Even against a Royal Janissary and Men-at-Arms setup, that is devastating for GNG in the long run. Cataphrax comes through. Oh my goodness. GNG just gets blasted right through. They didn't they didn't concentrate their forces enough, and they didn't manage to scrape off the main section of YYY, and that is the Halberdiers. The Halberdiers are still alive, losing so many of your good tier units, your Shield Maidens, your Cataphracts just now, and I'm pretty sure both your Chevaliers are out. Oh, man. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Obi-Wan Kenobi, I might have overestimated the strength of tier 5s. Would have been wounded. Would have been wounded. Um, Most of the tier 4s that did come through, or most of the units that came through for YYY were fresh. They were fresh, but the kicker here is that GNG didn't allocate their forces correctly. They needed more serfs to stall out the main section, clean up some of the other sections, and make sure to keep their main force together as well. Oh yeah, no, that's also one of the things. They shouldn't have fought. To put it simply, like the second battle for YYY more than made up for their loss at the beginning. More than made up for their loss at the beginning. And that's really bad. That's really bad for GNG. Because if you can imagine it, 50 if you have 45 units. You have 40 let's give the YYY about 45 units. GNG here in this case only has about 30. In the first engagement, they might have lost probably 5. Down to 25. They basically murdered how many units? 10, maybe 13. Let's say 10. You're now up to 35. You're still down 10 units. The second fight, super devastating. GNG 1 tier 5 needs to kill. Yeah. And that's the really important thing. You need to kill half an extra unit with a tier 5 with before against a tier 4. Because that's just a fact. Even though like a tier 4 would only cost around about 240, while a tier 5 costs, well, in this case, a Chevalier costs 340, which is not twice the cost, but you need not like it's a 50, yeah, it's like 50% extra. You're almost paying 50% extra for that tier 5. You it's very difficult. It's very difficult to determine when the turning point for GNG really was, but GNG won big at the beginning. They won big. They didn't lose very much. They lost super hard in the second fight. Like, super hard. Almost an even trade, basically. Oh, yeah, definitely gonna be. Like, if you think YYY. I mean, okay. YYY was given a hard time by GNG, and I don't rate GNG very highly. When YYY gets beaten by CNC, and it comes down to the losers bracket determining who's going to come second, I do think BPJT is going to be the winner. And but this could set a different precedent. I don't think that GNG's Chevalier Sally Out is purely skill based. It does seem like the Chevaliers are overperforming in this particular scenario, or it's just super effective in this particular scenario. YYY probably does not have this probably does not have the skills to defeat CNC. But I mean, CNC also got defeated by the exact same strategy. I mean, I've been talking a lot of shit out my ass right now, and better close it up before I talk more shit. Anyway, on Monday tomorrow, we're gonna have BBJT versus ING. Following that, we're gonna have GNG versus BZZW, and that will determine. That will. Oh wait, hang on. Then, yeah, that will be another losers bracket thing. I think we're in the. There's there's two more battles I think for the losers bracket. Three more battles for the losers bracket. There's three more battles for the losers bracket. One more battles for the winners bracket. So CNC versus YYY for the winners bracket winner. Going to happen on the Wednesday. Then we got two losers bracket for tomorrow. Don't know how that's going to turn out. My prediction is going to be BPJT beats ING, GNG versus BZZW. I think GNG is going to win. Then on the Wednesday, it's going to come down to. Hang on, is that how? Yeah. On the Wednesday, with BPJT, it will be BPJT versus GNG with BPJT winning. And then following that, we have CNC versus YYY with CNC winning, sending YYY down into the losers bracket. Then on the Thursday, we're going to get BPJT versus YYY, and that will determine the second and the third. So I think it's going to be BPJT agreeing with Obi-Wan Kenobi here on the Thursday. And then finally on the Friday, we're going to get an extended battle with a best of 7. And we're going to have the winners bracket of the winners bracket winner going to be CNC, and the losers bracket winner, which is BPJT. So that's going to be what it is. Hello, Big Secret. How are you doing? I'm actually just closing up right now. So I hope. So I mean, if you're just catching the stream now, very unfortunate. You just finished up watching the CBL. I'm doing well, Big Secret. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the commentary. But nevertheless, hang on, let me try that again. I hope you guys enjoy the commentary for the tournament. I'll be streaming the tournament tomorrow as well. But nevertheless, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream, because my name's Zetsukai, and have a nice day. Bye for now.